Rated Gen Z, where real talks get real. Each episode dives deep into the minds of 18 to 24-year-olds, exploring their dreams, struggles, and perspectives that most people never hear. We're diving into the chaos that defines a generation everyone talks about, but nobody actually listens to. This isn't just a podcast. This is a generation speaking. If you enjoyed this episode and you're between the ages of 18 and 24 and would like to be a featured guest, go to rock.vision. Until next week. Welcome to Rated Gen Z. Mahika, how are you?
Doing so well. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited about our conversation.
I am as well. Where are you calling in from?
I'm actually on a work trip right now, so I'm calling from Singapore. Um, and it's, as you can see, I'm in my hotel room. It's quite late at night, but all good. I'm just so excited for our conversation.
Me too. I will let you give an intro because I know that you and I connected through LinkedIn and I follow your business on Instagram, but I would love for you to give us a little overview of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Mahika. I went to college at UC Berkeley, studied business, and while I was there, I realized that a lot of my friends were almost like nano hyperlocal creators and social media geniuses. Of course, as a generation that grew up with the internet, they had this really intuitive sense of what works, and they were really excited to document their life online. And I saw that that was sort of an untapped space that brands weren't being able to take enough advantage of. These little college ecosystems are almost like incubators of culture where everyone lives together, works together, and they're so heavily influenced by each other. And that's kind of a great like testing breeding ground for Gen Z culture as a whole, in my opinion, because these little hyperlocal spaces then inform larger trends and culture within our generation. And so while I was in university itself, I started working on Muses, which is a Gen Z marketing studio, which helps brands connect with our generation in really unique and college campus methods. And so we put together something fun and custom for every single brand we work with to see what are the touch points realistically in a Gen Z person's life where this brand actually comes in, and how can we make those really fun and really unique in the way that it makes someone's day better and not that it's shoving a product down their throat. And so that's kind of like where we started and the genesis. And so I've been doing that for like a year and a half now, working at Muses. We have a team of about 6 people. And so yeah, I've been just really enjoying life. And I feel so fortunate to be able to like use my creativity in the ways that and be able to represent my generation, and see how we can make like the internet as a space, and marketing as a space better for everyone. Both brands and our generation are happier when it's all done in a fun, community-oriented manner.
Wow. And you already have a team of 6. I'm trying to figure out how to just have a team of 2.
It's hard. Honestly, I've been struggling with having a team because I'm so not used to um, working myself and other people working. So I don't know, it's weird. Like I'm so stressed about doing my own work and like
Managing.
approvals, yeah, like managing, reviewing, things of that sort. So it's been stressful. Don't worry, that sentiment remains.
I know it's crazy how so many people that are entrepreneurs or start their own businesses, it's hard to let go of that control and let go of certain things because yeah, we get so attached to every aspect of the business. And I'm kind of in that place too where I'm gonna need some help at some point because it is overwhelming and I'm not very organized. Are you pretty organized?
I am organized. Yeah, I would like to actually, a year ago, I would have said yes, but today I feel like the business just keeps snowballing and it's so hard for me I'm always playing catch up. So I'm probably like 12 to 15 business days behind.
Oh my
Every
goodness.
in my team and everything else because I'm just playing catch up with everything all the time. So yeah, completely agree. Like I mean, of course, I never saw like corporate from and worked from like having a manager myself and things of that sort. So I don't know how to structure hierarchy and structure approvals and reviews. So that's something I'm learning while on the job.
Do you
But
have
yeah.
mentors? Do you have older adults that kind of can help you and guide you?
Yes, I do. And honestly, that's been a saving grace with
Oh,
trying to
good.
figure out the chaos myself. So we're getting better every day. But yeah, it's definitely tough.
You said you're on a business trip. So are you in Singapore because there's a particular brand that you're meeting with, or how does that work? Because I mean, I want to be able to travel all around the world as well.
Um, yeah, no, great question. There is a conference. So we work with mostly like product related brands, food and beverage, retail, fashion, cosmetics, skincare. And so as I'm sure you know, in every like country, every industry, there are like these really big specific conferences and meetups for that community. And so we started in the US, but we're trying to expand globally. So this is a part of my efforts to expand globally.
Okay, so you're there as an attendee, hopefully hoping to network and meet people internationally. Okay,
Yes.
that
Kind of
makes
like
sense.
the landscape here. Yeah,
And the brands, well, not the brands, but the industries that you just mentioned, are those the main industries that you work with?
exactly. Yes. So whenever there's like big events for those industries somewhere, I try and go there to meet people as well as to see what's actually going on in that market, that landscape, how we could fit in. So no, don't worry, it's not like a paid brand trip. And I do have to work on US timings, which is very different. So I've just been honestly done no exploring, just been in my hotel room working, attending the conference and working afterwards.
Yes. So then how did you even get into this? Because I know that you explained because you had colleagues and, every people in college, but what is your background that allowed you to start a business? Because, it's not easy.
Yeah, no, I think like I had a business degree when I went to college. So I
Okay,
went
that makes sense.
the business school of my university at Berkeley. But honestly, that didn't help me as much with the education part as with like meeting really cool, inspiring people. And I think that's true for business schools across the world, where it's more the access to the network and than the hardcore education itself. I'm a strong believer that business can be learned. It's a very soft skill like work, unlike maybe like finance, math, science, which are based on education. So um, I would say like the spark and the motivation was being around so many brilliantly successful people during university. And then from there on, it's just been like faking it till I make it, figuring it out as I go. And a lot of chat GPTing, a lot of Googling, like how do I file this specific kind of tax? Like how do I make this financial report? Like just
Oh, so you
um,
are using AI for all of those things right now.
absolutely. I mean, at least in the learning process, like how do I do this? Oh, sorry. How do I do this? And then like I'll do it myself, of course, but what is the starting point? How do I even go about figuring this out about something that I'm absolutely clueless about, like how to run ads on Instagram, things of that sort.
Yeah, it's funny because when I started my YouTube channel during COVID, I YouTubed how to start a YouTube channel. I mean, you have access to everything. You can learn so much. But obviously there's going to be people that look at that and think, okay, but what about the experience or what about, real life kind of scenarios and all of that? But I feel that everything's evolving in a way where you can learn so much just through the internet and AI. And then I suppose you're just learning as you go as well. I mean, can you say that? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to call you out and be like you're just winging it, but it kind of sounds like you are, but in a way where you're a very smart, capable
Um,
person, I know. But like how is that? Like
Yeah, no, I mean, coming to the theme of your podcast, Gen Z, I feel like our generation actually is more inclined towards that, where I think previously in the world as a whole, a big value was get that degree, go through these different rungs, work your way up, the corporate ladder, the ladder of success, and then you have reached a point of success and fulfillment. But I think with Gen Z, we grew up with like democratized education and knowledge. As you mentioned, YouTube, and even before AI became a thing, we had Instagram and YouTube and Google. So, it's not uncommon, I think, for Gen Z to figure it out as they go. Um, to like search on TikTok how to be a creator and have tons of resources, do what you did with YouTube, do what I'm doing with running a business. So I do think that winging it is something I am definitely proud of. And I think my generation as a whole is a big advocate for because it just allows us to get more, I guess, equitable with the fact that anyone and everyone has access to these resources and can start without much investment or much education. And that's a great thing, I think, that everyone's kind of starting on an equal level to some degree with their access to these resources.
Well, what I think is fantastic, and I had a conversation with my sister about this yesterday, and she's a millennial, but I was talking about how thanks to social media and thanks to what all of you are doing, you're laying a foundation for someone like myself who's going to be 50 and those that are older that can't afford to retire at a certain age, where back in the day it was very much like, oh, I'm going to retire at 65. And now it's like we're, living longer. And let's be real, the economy right now and finances, it's just, um,
Right.
I don't know what the word is used, but let's just say it's kind of doom and gloom for a lot of people, at least here in the States, about retiring. But I feel like it's now giving us an opportunity to do things outside of the box and do it differently. And we get to kind of curate what we want our future to look like because of what you all are all showing us and what social media is showing is that it doesn't end at a certain age. I mean, there's so many older people on Instagram. Like there's one woman I follow, she's like in her 90s and she's a content creator and I'm sure she's making a ton of money now. And so it does at least give, I feel like a lot of older generations hope that there's still a possibility to still be relevant and be able to continue and be successful at an older age.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to hear you say that Gen Z is like influencing older generations. And I completely agree. I think even I've been in a lot of conversations recently, where I've gotten to understand that Gen Z is like a state of mind almost. It's more about the fact that you are scrappy and not that serious about life, willing to use your creativity, and just kind of go out of your way to create and I think with we see a lot of older people nowadays having fun on the internet, and they're very widely embraced by Gen Z. And especially like when they're doing little skits about specific points of time they are in with their age or where they are in life, it just resonates really well when they're like having fun and not taking themselves too seriously. Um, so I love that our culture is kind of spreading to be just culture in general, where you're never too late, too broke, do anything to get started and do what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, I love that because I know for someone like myself, I have faith that like I'm gonna be okay, because I can do so many things that puts myself out there that'll hopefully give me opportunities and open up doors in so many ways that wouldn't have before just because, there was no social media when I was growing up and your age. So yeah, I feel like people should look at it in that way too, of how it can help them as
Completely.
opposed to the negative, which, obviously there is negative to it. I mean, for you, do you see anything that has been hard for you to kind of handle because it is social media? I mean, do you get any of the kind of negative rhetoric like with what you do, or no? Are you kind of removed from that?
Like, do I see any criticism, critique, negative feedback? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
like,
saying?
or just in general, like when you are doing something for a client or you're putting yourself out there, do you kind of yourself receive any negative, hater comments on the other ends, or do your brands, or like how do you navigate that? Because I feel like that's something that's also inevitable too when you're putting yourself out there and you're working with social media. Like I didn't know if that was something that you have dealt with yet.
Yeah, no, I think that is a big scare for people who start creating, that they're like not exposing to themselves to the 100 people around them, but like thousands and thousands and thousands of them who might all sometimes not be so nice. So that's definitely like just a scare of the ecosystem and the industry in general. But I think with that, it's just kind of like a symptom of the entire world that we're in right now. And it's important to, in that point, kind of be like, oh, it's just someone on the internet. Like, doesn't matter. It's not a real person, at least in your mind, to like
Hmm.
not three-dimensionalize that sort of input. Of course, there's good criticism and like constructive things that we've heard for our brands. Um, and that's helped us improve. So, just an example, like when we first started working with brands, we would get some content about how it seemed like an ad, like that was the comments, and that's hurtful, of course, but
Right.
it's
But
good.
constructive, yes.
Exactly, it's
Yeah.
good to and to get even more creative, even more crazy, even more unhinged with the kinds of things that you're putting out with brands. Even though, of course, there is pushback from corporate on that from brands, but to know that we're staying true to the audience and we have heard from them, and this is not the content that resonates with them. So I think on the brand side, that, and then even on the personal side, like I create content on TikTok and LinkedIn for just to market Muses and talk about Gen Z marketing. And even for that, like started off super stiff, scripting out everything, like speaking in a super rehearsed fashion, trying to knock it all out in one sitting on a Sunday. Um, and so like, and then seeing like 12 views on those kind of things. And so now I'm at the stage where I'm just like keeping my camera next to me while I'm working, and then just speaking to it almost like as a friend. And whenever I have a thought, putting it on LinkedIn almost like I'm tweeting something, just like a one sentence, that's sporadically going out. So I think that kind of content is performed a lot better for me as well. And so the criticism, I guess, overall that we've been able to navigate and I'm trying to improve on as well is that don't be too stiff as a brand or as a person. It's so obvious. Everyone hates it. Don't make this fun place awkward. Just build community and go for that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because when I first started creating content on LinkedIn, it was the same, especially being at LinkedIn as a professional platform. So I thought I had to be even like very stiff and what I thought was professional, and it just was ingenuineness. It was ingenuine. That's the word. And it wasn't until I got really comfortable getting in front of my camera and being myself that that's when I saw a huge turn in my engagement and just people resonating with me and connecting with me. And then that was a game changer. And, now I do videos where I just whip out my phone too, just in the moment, no makeup on. I sometimes in my PJs, hair up in a bun. But if I have something to say, I'm like, I might as well just say it in the moment when it's fresh in my head. And that has been something that has evolved over time, but it's nice to know that as a Gen Zer, you're still experiencing that too. Because I feel like a lot of the older generations that think that that's just them because they're older. But I think it's everybody. In the beginning, yeah, you have this idea of what it's supposed to look like,
Yeah.
and then you
No,
realize nobody wants it to look so edited and just curated. People like the in the moment behind the scenes.
No, completely agree. I think if Gen Z is just a little desensitized to it, and so you're just facing maybe like a 10-15% more resistance with than we would, but the resistance is definitely there for everyone.
Yeah. And what is your goal with all of this? Like, I mean, is this something that you're looking to kind of build a huge company empire, if you will?
I mean, I am trying to go global right now,
Yeah.
so hopefully, yes.
Okay.
The world domination is a part of it, but I think what I'm really passionate about is kind of letting the 18 to 22-year-old of the moment be the compass. So I know we've spoken about Gen Z, but Gen Z is just this generation. And I remember when millennials were the cool generation.
There
And
was so much, oh my
right.
gosh, around millennials too.
Exactly. And then the older people hated them. And then millennials became the older people. And I have a younger brother and a younger sister. So they think I'm like the lamest person ever. Um,
So they're Gen Alpha, because yeah, that's a whole nother generation that's coming up, and that's going to be even more intense because they really grew up on just digital.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that will keep changing, and that's just
Yeah,
the way of the world and how time moves. But what I have loved to anchor myself in is helping brands speak with the 18 to 22-year-old of the moment, like the person who's coming of age and becoming the next wave of consumer. I remember being in college myself and coming of age was such a like transformational time for me where I was figuring out who I am, what I like wearing, eating, doing, being, studying, working at. So everything and anything you're shaping your identity then, and that keeps changing as different generations come by. So like even just I'm 18 months out of college and I feel so old as compared to the students that I speak to because it's a different landscape now and it will be again in a year from now. So what I like doing is connecting brands with that specific time in college students so they can and I can be almost a facilitator of that conversation and hopefully be a third participant in it um, to be able to create that. So, in my mind, like this Muses is a timeless concept, and Gen Z is kind of a timeless concept
yeah,
because of what it created, which is like cultural waves and letting yourself ride each one of them.
yeah. So 18 to 20. So you have a real niche there because you know they always say niche down. So you have that niche, and then at some point, yeah, Gen Alpha, they'll be 18 to 20 as
Yeah.
well, and then the next generation. It'll be interesting to see how those generations evolve too. But I think the constant is that there's always going to be like labeling of generations and wanting to have like a narrative around, you know, what they're like, just like with my generation with Gen X and the baby boomers. I think that's never going to change, but I think what can change is bridging the gap better, you
Right.
know, and that's kind of where I find is something that is still needed and really important is to better understand each other's generations in a way that we can empathize as opposed to just like making fun of and pointing fingers and yeah, I think that's something that needs to evolve, I
Yeah.
believe. I mean, how do you feel about that?
No, completely agree. And I think it is getting better. There's this book by this great sort of digital world journalist called Taylor Lorenz, where she talks about like the history of the internet. And so one thing that she talks about is how when millennials were like the generation of the moment, they made Instagram aesthetics the thing that they were, where everyone was posting like their coffee cups and these neon gradients and like these pastel colors. There were these Instagram walls everywhere, and that was like the moment. And I
Mhm.
think um, like everyone embraced that. And after a while, it's kind of just the moment in general. So I think we are getting better. And now with Gen Z, when they created like ironic humor and being casual on the internet and things of that sort, everyone's embracing that. I'm sure every generation after will bring something else. So I think it's just about embracing what's going on, not fighting it, and definitely not hating on it. And I think the world is getting better at it.
Yeah, it's interesting because it just popped in my head like how a lot of these big companies, these brands that have been brands for decades, suddenly they have these Gen Zers running their social media accounts, and these accounts like they're not very professional if you think about it, in the sense that I think it was the Lay's potatoes. I saw on Instagram, it was a reel where it was just a bag of the Lay's potato chips like on a table, and it just said, our social media manager is on vacation, like, but please still buy our potato chips or something like that. But it was just so simple. And I thought, oh my gosh, the stuff that like these multi-million billion dollar brands are getting away with, content that costs zero money. If you think about it, it costs nothing for her to put he or she, whoever, a bag of potato chips on a table and just write that on text and have that be their Instagram reel,
Yeah.
or like Wendy's kind of, they started this whole thing on Twitter where the way that they were responding to tweets, it was hilarious. And then all these other brands kind of jumped on board and said, okay, we need to be funny too. And so, yeah, it totally just changed the way these brands put content out there. I love it. I love to laugh. So anything that makes me laugh, I'm on board with.
No, it's so funny. I think even with that, there have been two waves. And we're in the second one, is what I
Okay.
feel.
I was going to ask you, like, okay, so
Yeah.
what are we now seeing coming up?
Right. No, I actually just like thought of this while you were speaking. You're so right. That when like Gen Z started out just on the internet being like, hey, we know you're a brand, we know you're selling to us. Please get real with us for a second and just
Yeah.
have fun about it instead of like aligning it with some greater mission of like ch selling chips and aligning with like some spiritual mission that way. You're selling chips, it's okay.
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's what brands started doing. And some of them were really successful at being silly with it. And I think the second wave now is for Gen Z to say, I know there are human beings behind the screen and behind this entire operation that are have human being thoughts and annoying days and like hot takes and all of that. We want to see them and we want to hear from them and we want to see their weaknesses and their flaws and their humor. Which is why I think like now you started seeing a lot of companies talking about when they like you'll see content when a founder walks into a room and everyone pretends to start working. Someone leaves at 4:59 p.m. from the office. And like big brands are putting that kind of stuff up about them and poking humor at their own like work culture and just work related things. Um, and so we've seen that perform well. I think that's really normal and that's good to so similar to like our social media manager is actually off today. So but we still do need to sell this bag of chips.
Yeah.
Um, so please buy this bag of chips.
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone's loving right now, which is to show the humans behind the operations in their human like costume and not employee or company costume. The professional is just like so separated from the personal and how we've seen it for so long. That you're not allowed to be like a person who laughs at things, makes mistakes, and be a really competent, professional. But that's not true, of course. And that's not, and everyone knows that. So putting down the act actually might help. And I feel like how professionals who might be scared still to do that should think about it is that the success is in the numbers. Like, if you're good at your job, you're getting the impressions or you're getting the revenue, you're getting the clicks, whatever your metric is. And so you don't need somebody to validate that through perception. You know what you're good at. And when you put yourself out there, you might actually increase your impressions, revenue, clicks, whatever you're looking at. And that makes you better at your job. So don't worry about like individual humans. You're good at what you do. Trust that and give it like objective, quantifying ways to look at so it doesn't like waver your trust in yourself.
Yes. Okay. And then what I took from this, because like if any, small business that's trying to sell to Gen Z, to your generation, what I've gotten from it is like, don't try to sell us something, right? Like, what would you say if someone was listening in that is trying to, get in front of your demographic? Like, what would be kind of the number one tip?
Um, I just like was in a conversation about this, so it's top of mind for me.
Okay.
I think like a good framework is to not try and sell your product, but sell um, what you are trying to sell through your product. So, like the feeling or the value or whatever it is that a person actually gets from your product. So, for example, if you sell a bag of chips, what they get is satiated hunger. They get like those that crunchiness, the taste, the fun of sitting in a like a movie theater and having a bag of chips, whatever it is. So try and sell that entertainment value. And that value through like entertaining content. And so then your product becomes a means to that end, and you're showcasing that end. And then your product is the little barrier that Gen Z will get to. They will buy your product to get to that end that you're selling. So if you are, let's say, somebody who makes movies, you want to like showcase little snippets of your movies, and you want to actually showcase enough of them that if someone scrolls through all of your feed, they can really watch the movie. But the point is that you should give value up front, and you should like sell that feeling and show that feeling up front. Um, so that someone understands what the value is, and your product is just like a little payment gateway away. I think when you just put your product in front of a screen and say, this is a great product, this is a great product, doesn't work. But if you say, hey, we're made by these kind of people and we really believe in it, and this is what you get, like the feeling of supporting someone really cool, feeling of supporting women, I think that resonates a lot better. So just to put that in a one-liner, sell the feeling, and sell it through entertaining, value-focused content instead of advertising content. Um, Assume no one wants to hear from you. Everyone like doesn't want to be sold to. So try and be as like non-salesy about it as possible. Nobody is like excited to see a brand's TikTok ever. They always, it's like an interruption to their day or their feed. So how can you make it not like that as much as possible? Is the way to think, I think.
Yeah. No, when you said the feeling, I think that's such a big thing. And I'm surprised that they're like, I was thinking about this the other day, like McDonald's and Burger King and all those fast food restaurants that obviously people are trying to promote health, and fast food isn't necessarily the best choice if you're going to eat a hamburger or whatever. But I feel like there's something about those brands, especially for someone like myself, that is very nostalgic. And I'm like, I'm always curious is like, why don't they sell more of the nostalgia
Yeah.
of the experience over the actual product? So maybe if you guys are listening, I think you need to like sell the feeling of it, like a Happy Meal, because like a lot of parents don't want to have their kids eat Happy Meals because once again, the chicken nuggets are like, I don't know if it's real chicken, sorry, but all of those things. But I'm like, but if you sell the feeling of what it was to be a kid and to open up that Happy Meal and to get the little thing. And so, yeah, I'm always surprised that they don't do something like that. I feel like that would be really good marketing, but I guess there's a reason why I don't do marketing for those brands.
No, no, no.
But
I
yeah,
think
but I'm always thinking about that.
you're so right. No, I would love to see a fast food thing that's about like eating healthy all week, and then at the end of the week being like, oh, I just want some like a hamburger, and then just digging into McDonald's or something of that sort. I think like that feeling of the different touch points where people like really love their fast food,
Yeah.
um, as opposed to just like, hey, this is a great burger, is
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
when
I'm always, yeah, I'm like wondering why they're not selling more of the feeling of what it is to be like eating healthy all week, but then you want that one cheat meal and it's
right.
going to be, a fast food place and just having that like as part of your commercial or
Right,
advertisement.
like the hyperfixation of the feeling. Or you mentioned the feeling of like being a child, and I mentioned the feeling of like breaking your diet. But the
Yeah.
feeling that you get with that specific joy that is in that situation, I think they should do more of that. So hopefully we
Yeah.
just created,
I know, right?
yeah,
Just you can write us a check later.
yeah, we'll be asking for
Yeah,
IP.
I mean, we're Gen X, Gen Z, and we're telling people like how they should market to us when it comes to something that we know we shouldn't be eating.
Right. No, and I think we just need a millennial in this call now to like represent the entire world of consumers.
Yes, yeah, and then baby boomers, get my one of my parents, because I will tell you this, my dad, he's a doctor, and he still like every now and again, I don't, and here in San Diego, Jack in the Box is a big fast food
Right.
franchise, and because it started here in San Diego. And every now and again, he goes to his, Jack in the Box or even Taco Bell or like In and Out, like once in a blue moon. And here he was a cardiologist, and people could be like, what? But once again, there's something for him that it's that comfort. And it's okay
Right.
every once and again to do something like that, I believe. But yeah, he's a perfect example of like, yeah, I'm still gonna go out
No,
there and get my
I
Taco
agree.
Bell.
Yeah, you're so right. Like McDonald's or a fast food company should literally make an ad out of that. Like a doctor who knows and
It's
is
like,
on every level so good about it, but then of
yeah,
course is also just a human being and can't help that burger once in a while.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's exactly like the feeling that nobody can resist is what they
Yeah.
should be. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully people listening in that are once again trying to sell something or they have a company, like, yeah, like sell the feeling of it. I think that's something that your generation really has done a good job of also kind of turning the tide when it comes to that. Because before it wasn't about value. And now, because people were scared to like, lead with value because then they felt like they were giving something away. And if they were going to give something away, then they were going to get money for it, or no one was going to buy it. But I feel like it's the opposite now,
Yeah, no, I
for
completely
sure.
like the way I try and think about it is my TikTok channel or my LinkedIn channel should have all of the knowledge I have so that virtually if a brand wanted to, they could literally just not even hire me, watch all of my content and get the same value that I as a human being could give them. And
Yeah.
the point of that is that like I'm breaking it up and I'm putting it in a long period of time. It's unlikely someone would do that. But what they would get over time is a little bit of me and what I can provide to them um, in frequent intervals and that kind of recall to be able to actually then sit down with me in a very personalized manner, understand what I can do for them. So I think the way to think about it for like some so like maybe an author should be reading out snippets of their book, a singer should be like putting out snippets of their songs and of their writing process and the motivation behind their music. Someone selling like an energy drink should be talking about like the different kinds of touch points in their day when they're using the energy drink themselves and how cracked it gets them to go and do these things and then showcase those things. Um, so yeah, ideally like you've gotten that energy from the content and then you just want to go buy that drink to get the full
Yeah.
experience.
No, I think it all makes perfect sense. And I think it's just talking about it more and more and explaining it more and more in a way that people really get it and understand, like, okay, maybe that's what I need to start doing.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of business owners, a lot of the people that are running these large brands and these large companies are older. So a lot of it too is them kind of trying to also understand like how things are changing and evolving. So it's important for you guys, your generation specifically. That's why I love talking to all of you, because you guys are really telling everybody, like, this is how you should market to us, or this is how you should speak to us, or this is how you should treat us, like this is how we want you to view us. And I think the more and more we can do that, then hopefully the more people will actually listen.
Yeah.
you
No, I
know?
Um, to any older people listening, just start. It like trust me, trust us. It's scary for everyone. Don't worry, just start.
Yeah.
So I think there is of course resistance, but just giving yourself grace. Oops.
Yes.
Just giving yourself grace through that.
Yeah. No, that's really important. That's something that I've learned, to just give myself grace as well, that none of us are perfect and we're all learning,
Exactly.
and everything is changing so drastically and so quickly that nobody can really know it all
Yeah.
because
No.
one day someone's telling you this, and the next day they're like, oh wait, no, never mind. Now it looks like this.
I think something that's helped me just even be a straight out of college founder is to blindly adopt the mindset. No one knows what they're doing. It's all
Yeah.
good. Like everyone is a little bit faking it till they make it. And so I'm able to like sit across from really senior people and professionals and talk to them on an equal level because I'm like, they're just like you. They don't know what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
So like the world is just, I get whiplash every single day I open my laptop and my phone from how quickly things change.
Yeah.
So don't worry, nobody from like the CEO of OpenAI to CEO of Google can keep up. It's impossible for a human being to be able to store and process that much knowledge on a daily basis. So don't worry about it, just get started. Yeah.
Well, that is a beautiful way to end, is by telling people to just get started. Well, thank you so much, Mahika. I really appreciate all the knowledge and the value that you brought to us. I think there's so many things that we can learn from this particular conversation. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I enjoyed this conversation so much. And I'm excited to see the conversation it generates further and kind of get into that.
Yes. I'm always open to having repeat guests on. I think that that's all. There's so much to talk about that can't just do it all in one episode. So
Yeah, and hopefully we're getting together to sue McDonald's for using our
yeah, there
ideas.
you go. Yeah, be like, we have proof
Exactly.
that we came up with that concept first.
Right, exactly. Be on the internet and everything. So I'm excited. We're having a meeting soon. Yeah.
Yes, yes. All right, Mahika, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day and hope to
Thanks.
speak to you.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode and you're between the ages of 18 and 24 and would like to be a featured guest, go to rock.vision.